Hello children, welcome to our English class. We have already finished our first lesson in the previous class. Now let us look at the complementary part of language learning that we have after the lesson. What do we have? We have reading comprehension. Now first and foremostly, what is the meaning of the word comprehension? The word comprehension stands for understanding. What is that? Comprehension stands for understanding. The word comprehension stands for understanding. So we have learnt the lesson in our previous class. How well did we understand the lesson is tested. Now, how is it tested, sir? That is tested with 5 questions. Answer the following questions we have, and then true or false questions are there. So, I leave this reading comprehension 1 and reading comprehension 2 in the textbook for you to do that. Okay? So, what shall we start with? Let us start with the listening part. What part? Listening, please. The word is not listen, it is not z, it is s, listening. Okay? So I want every one of you to utter this word properly. Speaking English is okay, everybody can do that, but speaking English, the way it has to be spoken is very important, my dear students. So how do you pronounce that? Listening. Now, see, now I shall read out a poem to you. So you have to find out the animals that are there in the poem I recite. We are given around 8 animals, pictures of 8 animals. So which of these animals are mentioned in the poem? You should see and decide. Now shall we see which one it is? Okay, please pay attention. Be a focused listener. Listening is learning. Okay, right. Are you all ready? Fun to be. It's fun to be this, it's fun to be that. To leap like a lamb, to climb like a cat. To hop like a frog, to swim like a fish. To trot like a horse, to jump like a dog. It's fun to pretend these creatures to be. Yes, not one is clever at copying me. Now, let us quickly evaluate. How many animals were mentioned? Was horse mentioned? Yes, horse was mentioned. What do you want to do? You want to trot like a horse. What was given, sir? Trot like a horse. And then, was cat mentioned? Yes, even cat was mentioned. How do we know that? To climb like a cat, cat was mentioned. Then frog, of course, frog was also mentioned. To hop like a frog. Then a giraffe, I don't remember giraffe being mentioned anywhere. So I put a cross to giraffe. Then a bird. Was a bird mentioned? No, even the bird was not mentioned. So let us put a cross there. Excuse me. Was a dog mentioned? Yes, jump like a dog. Then was a lamb mentioned? Of course. What was? To leap like a lamb. And was fish mentioned? No, I don't think so. Yes, it is mentioned. To swim like a fish. So these are the animals. Out of the 8 animals that are given to us in our textbook, how many are mentioned? Trot like a horse, then jump like a, was that jump like a cat? Hop like a frog, jump like a cat, climb like a cat. Okay, so it was trot like a horse, then what is cat, sir? Climb like a cat, hop like a frog, jump like a dog, then leap like a lamb, swim like a fish. So these are the animals that are mentioned: giraffe, and bird are not mentioned. So my dear students, see, if you listen, you learn a lot of language. I already told you, listening is learning. Why? You have come across a new word in that. What is that? Pretend. Then you have come across a word, trot like a horse. Then leap like a lamb and jump like a dog. See, verbs are very important. Verbs help us learn language. The more verbs we know, the more language we learn. So I request every one of you to look for the meanings of these words from the dictionary. You may be wondering, sir, why don't you tell? I know I'll tell, but you may tend to forget it. So I want to give it as an assignment to you so that you can search the words by yourself and find out the meanings. Now let us come to the next part. After listening, what's the next part? It is speaking. After listening, what's the next part, sir? Speaking. See, this is how we follow the 4 basic skills of language. Listening, listen a lot, speak very little. Okay, but while learning language, you have to speak a lot. Now, work in pairs. We don't have pairs now, but you can pair up with your mom, you can pair up with your father, or you can pair up with your brother or sister, your sibling at home. And what can you do, sir? See, this is all about asking questions and answering questions. Out of the 2 persons, 1 person will ask a question. Okay? Ask about the problem. Then what will the other person do? The other person will give the reason. Okay? 1 person will ask a question and then the other person has to provide a reason to that question. Shall we do that? Okay. Now one example is done for us in the textbook. What's the example? See, now one student is asking, why has Rahul missed the school bus? Why has Rahul missed the school bus? Because he woke up late in the morning. So why did Rahul miss the bus? Because he woke up late in the morning. So what is the word we are using to give the reason here? The word we are using to give the reason is because. Okay. So why has Rahul missed the bus? Because he has, right, because he woke up late in the morning. Now you understood, 1 person will ask the question, the other will provide a reason. Now, Amit could not contact Sumit. See, we are given a table here. In this table, in the first column, name, in the second column, problem, and in the third one, reason. Okay? So, name, problem, and reason is mentioned. Now we have to answer. Amit could not contact Sumit. Why? Okay. Why could Amit not contact? Why could Amit not contact Sumit? Why could Amit not contact Sumit? Or why couldn't Amit contact Sumit? That also we can write. The other way we can write is why could Amit not contact Sumit is one thing. Or what can you write, sir? Why couldn't Amit contact? Why couldn't Amit contact Sumit? So either of the ways you can ask. Now what should be the answer, sir? Why couldn't Amit contact Sumit? Because Sumit's phone number has changed. As simple. What do we have to do? We just have to add because. So if you have paired up with your mother, let your mother give the reasons. You ask the question. Why couldn't Amit contact Sumit? Then your mom will say, because Sumit's phone number had changed. Now, let your partner, whether it be your mother or father or your brother, let your partner ask you a question. What is the question now? What is the name we have to use? Ritu could not pay the bill. Okay? Why couldn't Ritu pay the bill? Why couldn't Ritu pay the bill? So please see, sir, it may look a little messy. I'll rub this. Is this visible to you? Why couldn't Ritu pay the bill? Now what is the answer? Answer should begin with because. Okay, why couldn't Ritu pay the bill? Because she forgot her valet at home. Sir, it is a small misprint, unfortunately. Forgot his valet at home is given. It is forgot her valet. How do you pronounce this word? W-A-L-L-E-T. Valet. Valet. W should be pronounced with wa. Okay? Wa. Both the lips together. Valet. T is silent. So, why couldn't Ritu pay the bill? Ritu couldn't pay the bill because Ritu forgot her valet at home. Now, let's go to the next question. Mrs. David had to climb 200 steps. Mr. David had to climb, sorry, Mrs. David had to climb 200 steps. Why did Mrs. why had Mrs. David climbed 200 steps? Because had to is given there. We are using again the same thing. Why had Mrs. David climbed 200 steps? Because the lift broke down. Simple. Dr. Geetika could not enter her clinic. Why couldn't Dr. Geetika enter her clinic? Why couldn't Dr. Geetika enter her clinic? Because Dr. Geetika left her keys at home. Now, wasn't that fun? Asking questions and answering questions, and that too how? We are giving reasons. So my dear students, communication is all about asking questions and answering questions. See, why could Amit not contact Sumit, or why couldn't Amit not contact Sumit? In this way we can put questions. Now let's do the grammar part. What's the next part? Grammar part. So what is grammar? Let us see. Sir, first I would like to tell you the importance of the spelling of the word grammar. Many people tend to spell this word wrong. It is G-R-M-M-A-R, not E-R. Please always be mindful about the spelling of grammar. It is G-R-A-M-M-A-R. Now, read the following sentences. She tied it round her waist. The words round her waist are given in pink and they are a little italicized. They are a little tilting. Nemo's mother was busy in the kitchen. In the second sentence, in the kitchen is in pink color. It is italicized. Nemo's mother was busy in the kitchen. Now, what are these? The set of words round her waist or busy in the kitchen. What are these words? Pair of words or set of words. These set of words are called phrase. What do we call them? We call them as phrase. So what is a phrase? My dear students, in English language, we have sentences made of subject, verb and object. We have learnt all this in our previous classes, right? What is subject? In a particular sentence, we talk about someone who does an action. I'll make it very simple. So, in English language, we can't frame a sentence without a verb. Among the 8 parts of speech that we have in English, verb is the most important parts of speech. You can't frame a sentence without a verb. Give it a try. And of course, sometimes even verb can become a complete sentence in itself. For instance, when somebody asks, "May I come in, please?" What does your teacher say? Come, go, stop. See, these are verbs, but they are a sentence in themselves. Whereas, you can't frame a sentence without a verb. So, what is a verb? Verb is an action. Verb is a work. So, one who does the work is called subject. And one who receives the action or work is called object. Subject, verb, object. This is the basic sentence structure in English language. Subject, verb, object. Who is subject? Doer of the action. Who is subject? Doer of the action. And what is the verb? The action itself, the work itself. Then what is object? Receiver of the action. Right, so subject is doer of the action, verb is the action itself, and object is receiver of the action. Now what is a phrase? A phrase is a group of words where there is no action, where there is no verb or subject. Subject and verb will be missing. Only object or predicate or complement will be there. For instance, look at the first sentence. She tied it round her waist. Round her waist. Does it give complete meaning? No. A phrase can never give complete meaning. A phrase does not make complete sense. It is a part of a sentence, but it is not the whole sentence. Phrase is a small part of the sentence, group of words which together form a part of sentence but not the sentence as a whole. Now what are we supposed to do, sir? See, the words in color in the above sentences are phrases. A phrase is a group of related words that does not contain both a subject and a verb. So let us quickly do that, sir. Pick a tick against the phrases. A large house. Is there a verb here? No. Why? Large is adjective, house is noun. What kind of house? Large house. So house is noun, large is adjective. No verb. So tick it. This is a small house. Is a verb. Is a verb. And this, what is the subject here? This is the subject. This is a small house. Subject is there, verb is there. This is subject and is verb. So this is a complete sentence in itself. This is a small house. It's a complete sentence in itself. It's not a phrase. So put a cross mark there. A tall tree. Very good. Again, see, a small house, a large house, a tall tree, a short tree. These are all phrases. Why? No verb and no subject. Is that simple? So let us put a tick mark there. This is a tall tree. This is subject. Is verb. This is a tall tree. Complete sentence. So let us not tick this. A man in the bus. What is the man in the bus doing? We don't know. Who is the man in the bus? We don't know. Is it making complete sense? Is it conveying complete meaning? No. So this is also a phrase. Put a right mark. There is a man in the car. See, now we know about the man. Where is the man? In the car. There is a man. Verb is there. So there is a man in the car is making complete sense. So it's a sentence. Put across. Very clever. Very clever. Who's very clever? What is very clever? We don't know. So this is a phrase. Very clever is a phrase. I have a box of beads. It's a sentence. Put a cross mark. Now change these words into phrases by adding suitable words. A cup of tea. A cup of milk, right? But here in our textbook we are given tea. Then on the bench, on the tree, on the bench, on the desk, these are all phrases. A pair of shoe, a pair of shoe. Then a laughing doll, okay, a laughing doll. A nice flower vase, a nice pot. A little chick. What is the last one? A little chick. So by adding one word, we have completed the phrase. Now arrange the jumbled words to make meaningful sentences. What are we supposed to do, sir? We have to arrange the jumbled. Now please see. This car new is my. What is the first example? This car is new mine. Now, what is the first thing that comes in English language? In any sentence, what comes first? Subject comes first. What is the subject here? The subject is this. Okay? This. What is the verb? After subject, what should come? Verb. What is the verb here? Helping verb. We don't have action verb, we have helping verb. So what is that? This is, what are we talking about? Car. What kind of car? New car. Whose new car? This is my new car. Now you understood, sir? First comes the subject, then comes the verb, then comes the phrase or predicate. My new car. My new car is a phrase. Okay? Right. Now, Punjabi, it was a dress. What's the next sentence? Punjabi, it was a dress. So what shall we start the sentence with? Let us start the sentence with, what is the subject? It. It. What is the verb? Was. Here we have is, here we have was. It was a Punjabi dress. It was a Punjabi dress. Then let us go to the third question. Lie not, do tell a. What is that, sir? Lie not, do tell a. Now, this is very interesting, isn't it? Now come on, try, sir. Lie not, do tell a. Third one. What will you start with? I'll start the sentence with do not. Do not tell a lie. Do not tell a lie. Okay. So one thing that I would like to tell you all is do not lie. You can remove this tell a also. See, tell is the verb. Do not tell a lie. You can simply say do not lie. Or you can completely say do not tell a lie. Then next sentence. What is the next sentence? Is sweets Amit fond of? Is sweets Amit fond of? What is the subject? Amit. What is the verb? Is. Amit is fond of sweets. Fond of sweets is phrase. Amit is fond of sweets. Next, let us do the fifth question. What is that? Mr. Khan his not bring for did any toys son. Mr. Khan is the subject. What is the verb? Did. Mr. Khan did not bring. Mr. Khan did not bring any toys for his son. Any toys for his son. See, this is more fun. If you do exercises like this, you will get complete command over subject verb agreement. We call this as concord, that you will learn in your higher classes. The monument is Taj Mahal, a wonderful. What are we talking about? We are talking about the Taj Mahal. So what is the first thing that we have to write? Subject. What is the subject here? The Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal is verb. After subject, verb. The Taj Mahal is a wonderful. The Taj Mahal is a wonderful monument. Okay, my dear students. So this is how we have to arrange the jumbled. Jumbled means what? Not in an order. We have seen all the 6 questions that are given. They are not in a proper order. We have to arrange them in proper order. What is the proper order then? Subject comes first, then comes verb, then comes object. Instead of object, everywhere we don't have an object. Okay, sometimes we get a phrase or a predicate. Right. Now let us move on to our next part. Now, what is the next part? Vocabulary. What's the next part? Vocabulary. Let us quickly do this. Sir, what are we given? See here, we are given the words. I am writing the words here for vocabulary. What are the words? What is the meaning of vocabulary? First of all, please tell me the meaning of vocabulary, my dear students. Collection of words is called vocabulary. Every language has words. Without words, we can't convey our emotions or feelings or anything. To communicate, to think, we need words. Please give it a serious thought. To think, we need words. Why do we need to learn vocabulary? We need to learn vocabulary to develop our thinking. The more words you know, the more you learn. That's the reason why we at Dachepalli Publishers Private Limited are trying to provide with as many words as possible to you, so that you can develop your vocabulary. You can widen your horizons of vocabulary and learn to think deeper and broader. Okay. Now, so what is vocabulary? Vocabulary is the collection of words in any language. Right. What are the words given to us? We are given ripples. Okay. These are all verbs. My dear students, we are given 12 verbs. So we have to convey those verbs to the things that are given in the picture to us. For example, let us do a simple thing. What do leaves do? Do leaves ripple? No. Do leaves rustle? Let us see. Do leaves jingle? No. Do leaves chatter? No. Do leaves zoom? No. Do leaves sticks? No. Do leaves clink? No. Do leaves creak? No. Do leaves beat? No. Do leaves patters? No. Do leaves roars? No. Do leaves hisses? No. Then what do leaves do? Leaves rustle. When the dry leaves fall on the ground, when we walk on them, they make rustling sound. Or when the leaves are on the trees, when a cool breeze blows, the wind makes a rustling sound. Where does that rustling sound come from? The rustling sound comes from the rustling of leaves. So leaves rustle. Rain, we have learnt in our rhymes. What do rain do? Rain patters. What does rain do, sir? Rain patters. Pitta patter rain. You remember the rhyme? Rain patters. Then what do teeth do? What do teeth do, sir? Teeth? Do they ripple? No. Do they jingle? No. Do they chatter, zoom, ticks, clink, creak, beat, patters, roars, hisses? What do teeth do? So what do teeth do, sir? Teeth chatters. Then what does water do? Water ripples. When you throw a stone, what happens in the water? You find small waves coming like this. What do you call them? You call them ripples. So what does water do, sir? Water ripples. Now, what do keys do? What do keys do? When we carry a bunch of keys in our pocket, when we walk or when we jump, the keys will jingle. And what does aeroplane do? Aeroplane zooms. Then drums beat. We know that. Shoes. Now this is something that we don't quite listen quite often. See, when we walk, the shoe makes sound. What sound do they make? They make creaking sound. So what is the right word here for us? What do shoe do? Or what do pair of shoes do, sir? They creak. Then what does a thunder do? A thunder roars. Doom. A thunder roars. Then what do coins do? When you carry coins in your pocket, when you run, the coins clink. What sound do they make, sir? They make clinking sound. Coins clink. Then what does a stream do? What is stream? Stream is a small outlet of water. Small water flow, channel of water flow. So at the bends, when it falls, when it rolls over the pebbles, what does it do? It hisses. Then what does the clock do, sir? Tick, 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 tick. The clock always ticks. Okay? So, my dear students, I hope you all understood the vocabulary part. Different sounds that are made by different things. Let us quickly have a recap. What sound does leaves do, sir? We call that sound as rustling sound. Then what do we call the rain sound? Pitter patter sound. So patters, rain patters. Then what do teeth do, sir? Teeth always chatter. Okay. Then water ripples, keys jingle, aeroplanes zoom, drums beat, shoes creak, thunder roars, coins clink, stream hisses, and a clock ticks. Okay. So I hope every one of you understood the vocabulary part. Now let us make the phonic practice. What's the last one? Phonic practice. Now what is the meaning of phone? What is the meaning of phone? In the phonic practice, what does the word phone mean? Telephone, cell phone, xylophone, cacophone, euphone. See, these many phones are there in English. What does the word phone stand for? In English, the word phone stands for sound. Phone stands for sound. So let us learn to read these phrases aloud. What's the first one? The dripping of a tap. The dripping of a tap. The lapping of the waves. The lapping of the waves. Waves. See, two wa sounds are there. W wa, v v. The v wa sound, we make it v. W wa sound, wa. Bilabial, wa. Labiodental, v. So the lapping of waves. Lapping of waves. Right? The pitter patter of rain. The splashing of water. Water. Please practice to make the proper sound of water. It's not water. Many people say water, water. It's not water. It is water. Right? The plop of a stone, p, by explosive sound, p. The plop of a stone, the gush of water. Right? So now let us try to learn about silent letters. Sir, English is a very, very interesting language. English is the only language where we have the concept of silent letters. What do we have? The concept of silent letters. In every other language, we read what we write. Whereas English is the only language where we don't read certain letters that we write. For example, let's look at the first word. What is the first sound? Bilabial sound. Wa. Walk. What's this? Walk. Walk. What is silent? L. What is silent? L. So let us underline L. We are not reading it as walk. It's not walk. It is walk. Then what's the next word? Alignment. What's the next word? Alignment. Alignment. What is silent? I'm not reading G here. Alignment. Then what's the next word? Honest. 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 I'm not reading honest. It is not honest. It is honest. Okay? Honest. So H is silent. Honest. Then super. Super. Please remember, my dear friends, whenever R comes at the end of a word, make R silent. Okay? Make R silent when it comes at the end of a word. We don't read the R every time it comes at the end of a word. So it is not super. In Telugu, we write it as super, but in English, we pronounce it as super. How do we pronounce it? Super, right? Then what's the next one? Not. Not. We are not reading it as knot. It is not. So what is silent? K is silent. Pronunciation is funny, isn't it? Knowledge. What's the next one? Knowledge. So what is silent again? K is silent. Then what's the next one? Thought. Thought. See, in English language, whenever TH comes together, read it as, put your tongue out. Thank you. Don't say thank you. Our tongue should not touch the upper teeth or the upper palate. Please practice this. How do we say thank you? When we say thank you, in our mouth, the tongue goes and touches the upper palate like this. But that's wrong. It should not happen. Our tongue should neither touch the teeth nor the upper palate. Thank you. Thank you. Thought. Okay? Thought. What is the silent here? G is silent. Thought. Then calm. What is silent? L. Okay? So my dear students, we have a small project work here. I request every one of you to do the project. Okay? So kindly go through the grammar set. Try to collect few more phrases from your storybooks with the help of your father, mother or your siblings. Right? And please don't forget the sounds that we have learned. What do leaves do? Rustle. What does a stream do? Hisses. What does a bunch of keys do? Jingle. What do coins do? Clink. So that's more. Drums, beat, shoes, creak. So these are interesting things that we need to remember for a long time. So I hope every one of you understood the complementary part of the first lesson, that is listening, speaking, vocabulary, grammar and the phonic part. Okay, let's meet up with a new story in our next class. Until then, take care. Thank you so much. Love you all.